Imagine for a moment that everything you have been through, every heartbreak, every disappointment, every dark night of the soul has been preparing you for this moment. Not just this moment in time, not just this fleeting breath, but your life. You were not placed on this earth by accident. You are not here by coincidence. You are not just another face in the crowd. You have been chosen, set apart, called for something greater than you can currently comprehend. And if you have ever felt the pull, if you have ever sensed that there is something different about you, something extraordinary burning inside of you, then hear me when I say, you are right. That feeling is not random. That fire is not me. It is the whisper of God. It is the call of destiny. And it is time for you to wake up to who you truly are. You see, life is not about coasting through existence, filling up space, and simply surviving. Life is about stepping into the fullness of who you were created to be. It is about understanding that every hardship, every obstacle, every trial was never meant to break you, but to build. Because here's the truth. The strongest warriors are given the hardest battles. The greatest champions are forged in the hottest fires. The most powerful vessels of light are first shattered into darkness, only to be remade, renewed, and restored by the hand of God himself. So let me ask you something. Do you feel like you don't quite belong in this world? Not in a way that leaves you longing for acceptance, but in a way that tells you that you were made for something beyond the ordinary. Do you look at society, at the empty cycles of routine, the shallow conversations, the meaningless pursuit of material things, and feel a deep sense of disconnection? If you do, that is not a mistake. That is a sign that you were never meant to fit in, a sign that you were never meant to walk the well-worn path of mediocrity. Because you, my friend, were created to walk in purpose. You were designed to shift atmospheres, to break chains, to set captives free. And that disconnection you feel from the world, it is not a curse, it is a call. But too many of us ignore that call. Too many of us spend our lives trying to silence the voice within us, trying to conform, trying to blend in with a world that was never meant to contain us. We shrink ourselves. We dim our light. We tell ourselves that we are not ready, that we are not qualified, that we are not good enough. But let me tell you something. God does not call the qualified. He qualifies the call. And if you have been feeling the pull, if you have been sensing the shift, then it is time to stop running. It is time to stop hiding. It is time to stop making excuses. Because the world needs you. Your family needs you. Your community needs you. Heaven has placed something inside of you that this world cannot afford to lose. And yet so many of us hesitate. We wait for the perfect time. We wait for more clarity. We wait for the stars to align before we step out in faith. But hear me when I say this. Purpose is not found in waiting. It is found in walking. Purpose is not something you discover by sitting still. It is something you uncover by moving forward, step by step, even when you cannot see the whole path. Because the truth is, you are not called to understand every detail. You are called to trust that every failure, every detour, every setback is leading you exactly where you need to be. To trust that the fire inside of you was not placed there by accident. To trust that God does not make mistakes. And he put this fire inside of you. It is because you are meant to use it. But let me ask you, what are you doing with that fire? What are you doing with that gift, that calling, that anointing that has been placed upon your life? Because let me tell you, being chosen is not just about surviving. It is about thriving. It is about stepping into the fullness of what you were created to be. It is about using your gifts, your talents, your voice, your vision to bring light into a dark world. Because let me tell you something. Your fire is not just for you. It is for the people you are meant to impact. It is for the lives you are meant to change. It is for the souls you are meant to awaken. So do not let fear keep you small. Do not let doubt keep you silent. Do not let insecurity rob you of the destiny that is rightfully yours. Because the world does not need more people playing it safe. The world needs more people who are willing to stand, to shine, to burn with a passion that cannot be extinguished. And that brings me to the reality that so many of us must come to terms with. If you are truly among the chosen ones, if you truly carry something divine within you, then you are not simply living in this world. You are walking a bridge between two realms, the physical and the spiritual, the seen and the unseen. You exist in a reality where most people only notice the surface, but you have always felt the undercurrents. You have always sensed that there is something more, something deeper, something greater, and that awareness that is not ordinary. That is evidence of the divine. But here's the paradox. Being chosen is not about being above others. It is not about superiority. It is about responsibility. And sometimes that responsibility feels heavy, doesn't it? Sometimes you feel the weight of the world pressing down on your shoulders, as if you are expected to be strong, even when you are tired. Wise, even when you are tired. Wise, even when you are hurting yourself. And yet, you keep going, because deep down, you know this truth. You were built for this. You see, when you are truly aligned with your divine calling, the universe does not shout at you. It does not force its way into your life. It whispers. And if you are not careful, if you do not make space for stillness, you might miss it. So, let me ask you something. When was the last time you slowed down and truly listened, not to the noise of the world, not to the opinions of others, but to the voice of God within you? Because here is the truth. The answers you are seeking are already inside of you. You just have to quiet the distractions long enough to. And that brings me to one final truth. Walking in your calling will not always be easy. There will be battles. There will be resistance. There will be moments where you need, when I say this, the world needs you to, it needs you to fight. It needs you to rise. Because when you choose to step into who you truly are, when you choose to embrace your purpose fully, you do not just change your life. You change the lives of those around you. You create ripples that extend beyond what you can see. You become a beacon for those still trapped in darkness. And that, my friend, is why you cannot give up. That is why you cannot shrink back. That is why you must answer the call. Because the world is waiting. Heaven is watching. And your destiny is calling. The only question that remains is this: will you rise? Life has a way of testing those who have been called. It does not hand out purpose without process, nor does it release greatness without refinement. If you are to walk this road, if you are to claim the fire that has been placed inside you, you must understand that what separates those who are chosen from those who remain lost is not simply belief. It is resilience. It is the unyielding, unshakable determination to rise again and again, no matter how many times the world tries to break you. Because here's the truth. The fire inside of you is unrelenting. No matter how many storms you face, no matter how many times life tries to extinguish it, there is something about you that refuses to give up. Something about you that keeps burning, keeps fighting, keeps pressing forward, even when the weight of the world is against you. That is not normal. That is not common. That is not simply human strength. That is divine fire. And that fire is not just about survival. It is about purpose. It is about recognizing that every trial you have faced, every hardship you have endured, every tear you have cried was not a punishment. Because if you were not meant to rise, why would you have been tested so much? If you were not destined for something greater, why would life keep trying to refine you in the fires of adversity? The universe does not waste its strongest soldiers on the easiest battles. It chooses its warriors carefully, knowing that those who are meant to stand in the light must first learn how to navigate the dark. But this is where many fall away. This is where many turn back. Because the weight of the journey is heavy, and the road is long, and there will be moments. Oh, there will be moments when you will question everything. You will wonder if you are strong enough. You will wonder if the battle is worth it. You will wonder if you should just lay it all down and return to the ordinary life that once felt so safe. But hear me when I say this. Chosen ones do not crumble under pressure. Chosen ones do not retreat in the face of adversity. Chosen ones do not allow pain to define them. They transform. They take every scar, every setback, every betrayal, and they turn it into fuel. They take what was meant to destroy them and use it to rise. And that is the difference between those who walk in power and those who live in defeat. It is not that they do not face challenges. It is not that they do not know pain. It is that they refuse to let that pain stop them. So let me ask you, what are you doing with your scars? Are you letting them hold you back? Are you letting them define your limitations? Or are you using them as proof that you have already survived worse than whatever stands in your way now? Because let me tell you something. The fact that you are still here after everything you have been through is proof that you are stronger than you realize. It is proof that you are not meant to break. It is proof that you were built for more. But here's the deeper truth. The fire inside of you, that relentless drive to keep going even when you are exhausted, is not something you created on your own. It is a gift, a divine spark placed inside of you from the moment you were born. You did not earn it, and you cannot lose it. It is simply who you are. And that is why the world will always try to convince you to shrink, to settle, to dim your light. Because the enemy of purpose is complacency. The enemy of greatness is comfort. The enemy of greatness is comfort. And as long as you stay where it is safe, as long as you play small, as long as you convince yourself that you are not ready, you will never step into the full power of who you were created to be. So let me ask you, are you chasing your highest potential? Or are you playing small to fit into a world that was never meant to contain you? Because the chosen ones, the ones who truly step into their power, are the ones who refuse to set. They recognize that their fire is not just for lighting their own path. It is for illuminating the world around them. It is for setting others free. It is for breaking chains and shifting atmospheres. And that is why the battle has been so fierce. That is why the enemy has tried so hard to silence you. Because the world does not fear those who remain asleep. It fears those who wake up. And that brings us to the reality that many do not understand. When you are truly walking in your calling, you carry a presence that shifts the energy of a room before you even open your mouth. Have you ever walked into a space and felt the atmosphere change? Have you ever had people drawn to you, seeking your wisdom, your strength, your light, even when you were not trying to be noticed? That is not a coincidence. That is the mark of someone who carries something divine. That is the evidence of a soul that has walked through fire and come out shining. But here's the paradox. You are magnetic because you are open. And that openness can be both a gift and a weakness. Because not everyone who comes into your life is meant to stay. Not everyone who is drawn to your light has good intentions. Some will come to drain you. Some will come to test you. Some will come simply to see if they can dim what you carry. And that is why discernment is necessary. That is why boundaries are not just important. They are sacred. Because your energy is sacred. Your calling is sacred. And not everyone deserves access to what God has placed inside of you. So let me ask you, who are you allowing into your space? Who are you pouring into? Who are you giving your time, your wisdom, your strength? Because if you are not careful, you will spend so much energy trying to lift others that you forget to protect your own fire. And hear me when I say this. Chosen ones need protection too. Even the strongest warriors need rest. Even the brightest flames need shelter from the wind. And that is why it is not just about who you are helping. It is also about who is helping you. Because you cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot give what you do not have. And if you are constantly surrounded by those who take, those who drain, those who do not understand the value of what you carry, then you will find yourself running on empty. And that is where many chosen ones fall. Not because they were not strong enough, not because they were not ready, but because they did not protect what was sacred, because they allowed the wrong voices into their mind, the wrong energies into their space, the wrong influences into their life. And that is why you must be vigilant. That is why you must guard your spirit as fiercely as you guard your purpose. Because the world needs what you carry, but it needs you whole, not broken. And that brings us to the ultimate truth. Those who are chosen do not simply exist. They carry an unshakable sense of purpose, even when they do not fully understand. Have you ever felt it? That quiet knowing, that persistent pull, that feeling that you are here to do something big, something important, something that will leave a mark long after you are gone? Even if you cannot name it, even if you have doubted it, even if you have tried to suppress it, it has always been there, because purpose is not about what you do. It is about who you are. It is the way you move through the world, the way you speak life into others, the way you choose faith over fear, even when you do not have all the answers. And that is why the enemy of purpose is not failure. But hear me when I say this. The only way to walk in power is to walk through fear, to trust that the fire inside of you was not placed there by accident, to trust that you were created for more than just existing, to trust that when you step out in faith, the universe will rise to meet you. So the question is not whether you are chosen. The question is what you will do with that truth. Will you shrink back, or will you rise? Because the fire inside of you is waiting. The world is waiting. And the time is now. Life is not meant to be lived in the shadows of fear. It is not meant to be a journey of hesitation, of waiting, of questioning your own worth. If you have been called, if you have been chosen, if there is something inside of you that refuses to stay silent, then you must understand that you are not here to merely exist. You are here to thrive. You are here to walk fully in the purpose that has been set before you. But if you are to do that, if you are to step into the fullness of your power, then you must make a decision. Will you allow fear to hold you back, or will you break free? Because let me tell you something. Fear is the greatest thief of destiny. Fear is the weapon the enemy uses to keep you small. It whispers in your ear, telling you that you are not good enough, that you are not ready, that you will fail. It tells you to wait until you are stronger, until you have more clarity, until you are more prepared. But let me ask you something. When has fear ever told you the truth? When has fear ever led you to purpose? When has fear ever given you anything but doubt, hesitation, and regret? Because here's what I need you to understand. Your calling does not wait for your comfort. Your purpose does not wait for your permission. It moves. It shifts. It calls you forward, whether you are ready or not. And if you spend your life waiting until you feel fearless, you will never move at all. So let me ask you, what would you do if you weren't afraid? If there were no limits, no doubts, no voices telling you that you can't, what would you chase? What would you build? What would you become? Because hear me when I say this. The only thing standing between you and the life you were created for is the fear you are refusing to let go of. And I know what you're thinking. I know the excuses that have played in your mind. But what if I fail? What if they judge me? What if I'm not good enough? But let me turn that question around on you. What if you succeed? What if you rise? What if you are greater than you ever imagined? What if the world has been waiting for you to step into your purpose? Because let me tell you something. The greatest tragedy in life is not failure. It is staying stuck in fear. It is standing at the edge of your destiny and choosing not to move. And that is why today, in this moment, you must decide, who will you listen to? The voice of fear or the voice of purpose? Because both are speaking. Both are speaking. Both are calling. Both are fighting for your attention. But only one will lead you to the life you are meant to live. And that life does not come to those who shrink. It does not come to those who settle. It does not come to those who let the world tell them who they are. It comes to those who step boldly, who walk in faith, who refuse to be defined by their past, their failures, or their insecurities. And if you are waiting for a sign, let me tell you, this is it. The time is now. Heaven is watching. Your purpose is calling. And the only thing left to ask is this: will you answer? Because being chosen is not about survival. It is about stepping into the fullness of what you were created for. It is about knowing without a shadow of a doubt that you were not placed here by accident. It is about recognizing that the fire inside of you was not given to you so that you could keep it to yourself. It was given to you so that you could use it to change the world. And that is where many struggle, because we have been conditioned to believe that greatness is for other people, that purpose is for those who have more talent, more resources, more opportunities. But let me remind you of something. God does not call the qualified. He qualifies the called. And if you have been called, if you have been chosen, then you must trust that everything you need is already inside of you. But too many people live their lives wait. They wait for the right moment, the right circumstances, the right opportunity. They tell themselves, I'll step into my purpose when things settle down. I'll walk in my calling when I feel more prepared. I'll take that leap when the timing is better. But let me tell you something. The enemy of purpose is procrastination. The longer you wait, the more fear takes root. The more you hesitate, the further you drift from what you were meant to be. And the sad reality is that most people will die with their purpose still inside of them. Most people will leave this world without ever stepping fully into what they were created for. And I refuse to let that be you. Because here's what I know. When you finally decide to step out in faith, when you finally decide to trust that the fire inside of you is not a mistake, something shifts. Doors begin to arise. The universe begins to align in ways you never expected. And suddenly, what once seemed impossible becomes inevitable. Because purpose is not about knowing every step of the journey. It is about believing that if you take the first step, the path will reveal itself. And that is why today, right now, I challenge you to stop waiting, stop hesitating, stop letting fear dictate your future. Because the life you want, the life you were meant for, is on the other side of your fear. And let me tell you something. When you finally walk in your calling, when you finally embrace the fullness of who you are, something incredible. You don't just change your own life. You begin to change the lives of those around you. You begin to shine so brightly that others cannot help but be drawn to your light. You begin to inspire, to uplift, to transform. Because when you step into your power, you give others permission to do the same. And that is the true mark of someone who is chosen. Not just that they find their own purpose, but that they help others find theirs. And that is why I say to you now, do not shrink, do not settle, do not let the lies of fear, of doubt, of insecurity keep you from what is already yours. You were created for something greater. You were designed to walk in power. You were meant to be a force in this world. And the only thing standing in your way is your willingness to step into that truth. So I ask you, what will you choose? Fear or faith, doubt or destiny, comfort or calling? Because let me tell you something. The world is waiting for you. Heaven is waiting for you. And the only question that remains is this. Are you ready to rise?